What is going on, everybody? It is your boy, your man's Toxic Game over there. Back at it with another review. And yesterday I was able to check out the new space thriller I.S.S. a day early. But before we get to actual beginning of the review itself, guys, don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel. Because number one, it's absolutely free. And number two, we're on the road to 600 subscribers now. Just 43 away now. Really help out your boy if you did subscribe. Also, if you missed my previous toxic reviews I've done in the past, they're in a playlist on my YouTube channel. If you'd like to check that one out, also don't forget to like the video as well, because let me know that you do like my toxic reviews, and help with the YouTube algorithm recommend the video more. And do feel free to comment your thoughts on I.S.S. down below if you have seen it. But before we get to actual beginning of the review itself, let's give a quick plot synopsis, shall we? So transition on Shazam. Tensions flare in the near future aboard the International Space Station when a worldwide conflict breaks out on Earth. Soon, the U.S. and Russian astronauts each receive orders from the ground. Take control of the station by any means necessary. Alright, so going into this one, I just saw a teaser trailer. That was it. It was for one of the movies I watched. I can't remember which one I watched. I saw the teaser trailer for this. But the teaser seemed quite interesting with this plot where there's the cosmonauts and then the astronauts, and they go on a space mission together, and there's a war going down on Earth, and they end up basically are ordered to take over the ship, each side. So, very interesting plot in itself. And how I would describe this movie going into this one, if you're curious, like, what type of movie it's like, if you take out the creature bit, I would say this is 10 Cloverfield Lane, and with a sprinkle of alien. There's no creatures in here whatsoever, but it does feel similar to those two films, even though I've never seen 10 Cloverfield Lane, but even though the plots are very similar. But going into this one, I was just hoping it would be good, and with that being said, let's just go into the actual review itself. So, starting off here, we always start off with good, and the good, the first good that I can come up with, I said this in my short out of the theater review, if you want to check that one out, the good, making you sympathize with both the astronauts and the cosmonauts, which is the Americans and then the Russians. So, it did a very good job for making strong cases for both sides, where you kind of don't want them to die, and then you kind of do. No, you don't want them to die. You want them not to die, even though they're facing each other, because it just happened so abruptly that you don't want them to kill each other, because they actually have a really good relationship, which brings me to my second. The dynamic between all of the characters at the start of the movie is very well done. Even though it's very quick, it's very well done, and you can definitely buy them as getting along together. So they did a good job with that. Another positive, all the performances pretty well acted. I don't know much of the actors' names in here, but I can tell you for a fact that all the performances in here were pretty good. Especially there's this one character named Alexei. I thought he was very well acted by the actor that played him. The main character acted pretty good. Let me think here. I just came up with another mixed bit. Doing this while I'm filming a review right now. So, yeah. Just came out of my head, so put that there. But all the performances are pretty well acted. So, and as for the other characters, main character was pretty decent. There's one actor I did recognize in here, and I think the actor that plays Alexis from Extraction 2, correct me if I'm wrong down below, but he did great. And then there's this other guy that was the dad in the Boogeyman movie, which came out last year, the horror movie where, like, the lights and stuff. He did pretty fine in here, and then all the other characters were as well acted. Another positive, this is probably the biggest positive, the suspenseful moments. It was really, really suspenseful in this movie during some certain sequences where I was going, ooh, because they do really good at drawing that out, and I can't put my finger on it. Besides that, I'll say all that stuff, but I don't know what else I can say about it. They just do something where the suspenseful scenes are very suspenseful. Um, another character positive, the character development for two of the characters, and realize I said two. We'll get back to that later, but for the Alexi character and the main character, I thought both of their characters were developed pretty well, especially towards the end of the movie. At the beginning and the middle, well, specifically at the beginning of the movie, their characters aren't quite developed as much, but when they go into the actual stuff that happens where they end up having to take over the International Space Station, that you get character development there, and then especially in the final act, I think you get a lot of character development between these two characters. Another positive, the plot is very unique. Even though we've seen it before in some certain movies, it's unique because it's in space, it's enclosed in the smaller ship, not like the Nostromo from Alien. It's very small compared to that, but still pretty big ship. It's interesting how it's all enclosed and stuff, and it's definitely one of the more uniquer plots that haven't been pulled off a whole lot and on repeat for the last few years. And then another positive, the enclosed space is the enclosed space shuttle setting. Sorry, stumbling upon my words here. Did I technically talk about that really? But it's an interesting setting because 10 Cloverfield Lane is in this bunker in the floor, I believe. It's something like that, but this is a space station, so it's very intense. So that is all the good. Pretty good goods, if you ask me. Now we move on to the next, the dialogue. During some certain sequences of the movie, I think the dialogue's pretty good, but then there's a dialogue for one character in particular, whereas, I don't know, I feel as if it could have been written better for him, and then there's some other moments with the characters where you go like, I don't know about the dialogue. But the dialogue isn't bad, though, because there is good dialogue moments, and then there's bad dialogue moments, so yeah. A mixed aspect, this is for me, but I'm pretty sure most people will put it on the negatives because it's a very abrupt ending, but the ending. The ending, I put in the mixed because if they, I don't want to give away spoilers, but if they went a little bit further than they did with the ending, I feel as if it could have been very, like, maddening, if you get my drift. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. So, yeah. I'll just leave it at that so I don't spoil it for you guys if you're wanting to see this movie. Another mixed aspect, the build up to the main plot of the film. This is mostly for you guys. It's not for me, because I didn't have a problem with the build up for the film, even though a little bit slow, but not really, really slow. So the build up for the film, I was just letting it play out, and it didn't bother me as much, but I feel as if it's going to be very slow and boring for some certain people. Like my friend Jax, howdy if you're watching this. I feel as if he would be kind of bored, which he gets bored easily, so that's Jax for you. But if you get bored during some certain situations where they're trying to drag things out, you might not like the beginning of this movie and some points later on. And another mixed aspect that I just wrote down, the main character. I don't know how to feel about her character. She's developed well, but for her background, they don't explain much of her background, if that makes sense. So that's why it goes into the mixed aspect. Now, unfortunately, we move on to the bad. And starting off with the bad, we have the CGI. Don't get me wrong, it's not the worst CGI in the world, but I do think that the CGI is pretty during some certain sequences, and you can definitely tell it is CGI. But there is some pretty decent CGI here, though, with the, when it shows all the explosions going off around the Earth. I thought that was pretty well done. But otherwise, all the other stuff, the CGI was not really that good. It wasn't terrible. It was just, they could have been done a little bit better on that. Another bad development for the other characters. I mentioned before there were two characters that were developed well, the main character and the Alexei character, but all the other characters, like, it wasn't utterly bad development for the characters, but they could have been developed a whole lot more, and they weren't in this movie, so that's a bad. Another bad, it does drag at some certain points. I was talking about it earlier, how the beginning kind of dragged, but only by a little bit. But when everything's playing out and you're waiting for people to do stuff and hurt each other or whatever, in the middle acts of the movie when the chaos is starting to ensue, it does drag at building that suspense, I feel, and it would turn some people off for this movie. Another negative, one of the characters, I mean, this should really go into the mix section, but I'll put it in negative because I don't want to spoil it. But basically, one of the characters, I'm just going to leave it at that, because if I talk, I might give hints, okay, or whatever. So, one of the characters, I'll say that. Maybe I'll do a tiny little spoiler review, or whatever. I'm not going to do a full review, because that would be hard to do, but, you know. Final negative, I feel this should be a lot better. Don't get me wrong, I still like it. I think it's good. But I feel as if with the plots that they have, it should be a lot better. Which, it's good. But I feel as if it should be great or higher than that. But with that being said, guys, let's bring out the toxic meter. And I will give this a B. Toxic goodness. And I think this one, if you're into sci-fi stuff, I would say go ahead and check this one out. If you're interested and are not into that slow stuff, you can probably see it on streaming. But overall, I did like this movie. So, before we get to actual ending of the video itself, guys, don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel, because number one, it's absolutely free. Number two, we're on the road to 600 subscribers now, just 43 away now. Really help out your boy if you did subscribe. Also, if you missed my previous toxic movie reviews I've done in the past, they are in a playlist on my YouTube channel if you'd like to check that out. Also, don't forget to like the video as well, because let me know that you do like my toxic movie reviews, and I'll put the YouTube algorithm recommend the video more. Don't forget to ring the bell for all notifications and notification upload, because we do multiple uploads here on the channel every single day. Also, do share the video, because also now get some more people join that toxic. And do feel free to comment your thoughts on I.S.S. down below. But with that being said, guys, I'll see you all next one, everybody. I heard the freaking out.